John, how?
No, coming in hot.
Whoa there.
Oh, watch out.
Dude, I am stoked to get to go out here, watch you do your thing, hopefully learn a little bit, eh?
Yeah, man, it ought to be good.
I mean, I guess
this is it.
This is the place. Well, maybe not exactly the place, right?
Now we're gonna do a little running back to and get
up a little further.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's pretty cool because I mean, even just driving here, and you came by water, but it's out here. You're not really on Wheeler Lake anymore.
Yeah, no, we are in the middle of nowhere. We're gonna go pretty far back in the woods and get on some fish.
All right, let's do this thing. So John, this is the spot.
This is it, we're here, we made it back here. One more time.
See if we can catch a fish or two.
See if we can't catch one or two.
All right, well let's get up and break this thing down.
Right.
I got myself a little D-bomb action there.
That looks nice.
It does look all right. But that frog is what you caught him on.
Yeah, the frog is what got most of the job done in here. I mean, it was just, and it was something, I didn't even throw during practice or anything. I came up here during practice, I had a rattlehead spinnerbait on, I had the hook folded over on it, and I was just kind of trolling motoring fast, and there wasn't really any of this duckweed in here either. And, and I got a lot of bites. And when I came back the first day after that rain we had on the off-limits day, all this duckweed was here, and I was like, as soon as I saw it, I was like, let me tie a frog on real quick.
It'd be hard to pass up with a frog.
And it was just amazing how good they were eating it.
All right, well let's I guess get to work here and see if I mean, I'm sure you know where a couple live.
Yeah, there's a few of them through here. My main setup, what I was using, I build my own MHX rods, when we talked about it, Hartwell and stuff, and I built this frog rod. It's an FP 885. MHX blank, and what it is, it has the power of a flipping stick. So you got all this backbone and everything to drive the hook, drag it out of whatever you need. But I mean, if you feel it, it feels like a casting rod. I mean, it's nice and light. You can underhand cast with it really easy, and you can throw it all day and not be tired with it. And that was it. I mean, that was the main thing. I mean, and all you're doing is just kind of skipping it up under these trees like that. And I was just kind of sitting still and just walking it back and forth.
Just working it back out.
Just like that. It was painful and it was slow. I've never fished this slow in my entire life, but I had nothing else to go to here, on this lake, and it was fishing so tough. And this area just looked so good, so I just kind of, hung out in this part of the creek, the entire tournament. And
just took your time and just picked every little thing apart.
Yeah, I made multiple casts and and then I also did some other stuff. I changed it up some with the, I did some flipping in here and caught some fish, but just, nothing like what was coming out. Every time I got one on this frog, it was
a good one.
Close to 3 pounds, yeah.
Now, with the frog, were you just fishing everything you could cast to, or did sort of day by day, were you able to figure out something specific?
They were in different places every time. They were in a different place. They were never in the same stuff. But the crazy thing was, I had a feeling there wasn't that many fish in this creek, and it actually got tougher and tougher as the tournament went on.
Okay.
And on the last day, I had these 3 fish that I kept missing the entire week, and I'm like, those are big ones. They just weren't getting the frog. They'd blow it out of the water, or they'd come up behind it and move the duckweed, and they just wouldn't eat it. And I got them 3 to eat the last day and choked it, and I lost 2 of them and caught the 1. So it was just, it was awesome.
Cool. Do you have any idea how deep it is right in here? We'll find out. pretty deep.
Deeper than that. So I was fishing deeper than normal and slower than normal.
Well, gosh, it's a miracle.
I was just so versatile this week.
John Cox, most versatile man on tour. Well, that's really cool. I mean, not a lot of people would have even thought to come all the way up here.
Yeah,
or put in the time to come all the way up here. I mean, if it took, you know, hours to run up, to run and work your way and that sort of thing, and I mean, then to just catch them up here is, you know, all the more amazing, honestly.
And I think all the shade up here really, really helped with the water being cooler. You know, and then you got all the shade from the duckweed too. I mean, so you know, it just.
Yeah, I mean, it's high noon right now, just about, and there's shade obviously on all the banks, but I imagine like all morning long and probably later in the afternoon, this whole place gets shaded over just because you've got a canopy of trees.
This is the most sun it's going to get the entire time of the day.
So with the frog, when you're fishing that, I mean, I've noticed you're casting it all the way up to the bank and you're working it out maybe, I don't know, halfway or so. Is that where your bites were coming from, or did that vary at all, or what was your deal with that?
The first day, it's crazy. See how it's kind of set up right now? How it's just kind of sparse everywhere.
Yeah.
And then you have your thicker clumps here and there. You know, the first day, this was all solid. The whole thing was solid. There wasn't really much current.
Just full of duckweed.
Yeah, and so there wasn't really, you didn't really know where to throw.
Yeah.
And a lot of them would be out here in the middle of the channel. You know, you'd throw out and work these deeper trees, and you had to work them really slow, and then eventually the fish would come up and hit it.
Okay.
You know, and then day 2, day 3, day 4, as the water was rising and coming up, it actually, as it comes in, it'll push all the duckweed. As it fills up, and it'll push it towards the bank and make these little mats more like you see like right there.
Yeah, in the backs of these little, by a little lay down or back of that little pocket, stuff like that.
And I mean, that's where, you know, a lot of them came off that too. And then, I mean, and then there was day 3 where you would throw it out in the best looking stuff and work it back to the boat and be like, and, you know, I'd get to about, you know, 10 feet from the boat, and I'd be like, man, I can't believe there wasn't one there, and it wanted to get it, and you're like, oh man, it was just, it was one of them tournaments.
That's something else. Well, I mean, when you win one, usually just stuff goes right sometimes, and that certainly. Did you think the fish were always following out from a piece of cover, or were they just kind of cooking around in the middle here sometimes?
Yeah, I think a lot of them were sitting in the middle of this thing. You know, towards the end of the tournament, that last day, the bites, they were right up on the bank, you know, and then that was the only day that it was like that. Most of the time, you know, you'd throw it up to the bank, and you'd have to actually work it out in this deeper water, and to get them to come up, you know. And that was the thing. I think it's so hard to get them to trigger to bite when they're in that deep of water. The water's clean here.
Yeah.
You know, to get a reaction strike in that deeper water, you know, you need this duckweed to get the bite, you know.
To get them to think that they can come up and eat a topwater and something like that.
Because I mean, I tried topwater, you know, in the middle of the canal and stuff, and it seemed like they got too good of a look at it, you know. And oh man, there's one left in this.
There's a fish. I don't know if he'd be a keeper in a tournament or anything like that.
In this one, he probably would have been.
A little spotted bass or something. Looks like you might have caught him this week.
Yeah, he looks a little rough.
Yeah. But hey, there's a fish.
Heck yeah.
Come on out of there, bub. Not necessarily a Forrest Wood Cup winning fish or anything, but they're there.
I weighed 2 of them that size last day.
Hey, sometimes that's what it takes, right?
Yeah.
Get out of there, bud. Yeah. All right, so yeah, this is a good spot. I like it. It's been like, I've made like maybe 4 or 5 flips here so far, so I'm a fan.
Pretty good there.
Yeah, and he really did bite off the bank. I mean, he wasn't up right tight. He was just kind of probably halfway to the boat. I was just kind of dragging around.
Yep. Oop, there's a log. We don't need that prop. Just kidding. We do need it.
Yeah, we're gonna want to get back here.
You know what was nice about this tournament?
Tell me about it.
I won it without a spinning rod.
Anytime you can do that, that's a good tournament, right?
Yeah. It was, you know, the other two tour events, I've always caught them on spinning rods, which is, you know, I never throw them to begin with.
Yeah. Hey, so on the frog, when they would bite that thing, would they just come up and smoke it? Or would sometimes they hit it a couple of times? Did you miss a lot of fish? What was...
You know...
I'm pretty sure that was a bite.
They were eating the frog the first day, you know, you could tell, you know, the duckweed just got into the canal, you know, out of those little feeder creeks.
The little pockets and stuff.
Yeah. And you could tell they haven't seen a frog in a while. Because, I mean, they were just... You know, you would work it slow and then they would just smoke it, you know, and choke it. And like everyone was hooked deep down in their throat. And, you know, but after that first day and they kind of got educated of it and saw their buddies get yanked out, they didn't eat it so good anymore. And then a lot of the hits were, you know, then you actually, there was actually, you had to kind of wait on that bite window. And you would work it and, you know, I mean, it might go for an hour and a half. And all of a sudden you'd hit that bite window and, you know, you'd get 5 or 6 hits, you know, really quick.
Huh. That's pretty cool that, you know, you could capitalize at certain points of time.
And the final day, which was crazy about the final day, is like, I looked at the weather, I saw, you know, we were going to get some rain later in the evening. I knew that bite window was going to be late when that, you know, when that pressure was going to change and stuff. And, you know, I like timed it and I came back in here right when I thought the bite window was going to happen. And like, I wasn't in here, you know, 20 minutes and it was just like, you know, started getting those bites. And
all right. Because that final day, you know, we were watching the coverage and out there watching other guys fish and stuff. And we're like, man, John Cox might be giving this thing away. Is this really gonna happen? I thought I was
giving it away too there, but
I don't know. It makes it sound like it was all part of your master plan.
I know. And you know, it never works out like that, but it just, you know, it just did. It just, you know, the tournament it fished so much like so many of the other tournaments I've done well in, you know, so it kind of just, you know, was comfortable the whole time. You know, I felt like I should have been nervous and shaking, and I mean, every day I was in the boat, I was perfectly fine. I got nervous once we got it on the trailer and, you know, going back to weigh-in and, you know, stuff like that, but like the whole time I just felt really calm about it. And,
well, I mean, in the boat, you're in your element. That's where you were born to be.
The other thing too, like I had no pressure because, you know, no one expects you to win at, you know, coming out in an aluminum boat and going way up a creek and, you know, at the Forrest Wood Cup or anything. I felt like there was no pressure.
Yeah. So kind of on that aluminum boat subject, I mean, I guess a couple years ago, you started fishing just out of an aluminum boat?
Yeah,
because you fished the tour and fished out of a big fiberglass boat some, and
I did. When I first started in the tour, I had a Triton that I won in another tournament, and I ran that one for a little bit. But I always had a 17-foot crestliner with a 70 on it, 75 Mercury, and you know, and then we had that Red River tournament that I won using it. And once that,
going through the culvert.
Yeah, and you know, and we fished tons of team tournaments out of that boat, me and my buddy Keith. So I really enjoy fishing out of it, you know, and you know, after winning on Red River, I was like, you know, let me call Crestliner and see, you know, maybe we can get something worked out, and maybe, you know, can start running, you know, their bigger boat, and it just worked out awesome. I mean, they're great people over there, and you know, I love running their boats.
Yeah, the thing that I think is kind of cool about it is, I mean, this week you're running with, you don't have a graph hooked up front. You've got 200, which is 50 horsepower shy of what everyone else is running. Mm-hmm. I mean, you're the working man's fisherman. Oh, yeah. Really. I mean, everyone online it's John Cox, and he's doing this out of an aluminum boat, and so can I almost.
Yeah, exactly. And that's, you know, it gives me so much motivation to know everybody back at home, you know, them guys that, you know, just, you know, have the regular jobs and, you know, make decent money, but, you know, can't afford, I mean, people that would go in the bank and you'd be like, hey, I need to borrow $70,000, and they're like, yeah, right, you know, you don't make that in you know, a couple of years. And I mean, that's just, you know, it's just, you know, doing it for those guys and stuff. I just want everybody to know they can do it, you know. they can make it happen.
Yeah. Although you probably are going to have to be really awesome at catching bass like you are.
Yeah, you have to work at it. You know, this frog here, I caught, I think I had 3 of them because I haven't thrown it in like 5 years, right? So I dug it out of the box. I was like, I caught him pretty good on that one before. Tied it on, and sure enough, it was the only one they would eat. And I had 3 of them, and you know, I caught all my fish on them 3 frogs, and I lost one in here on that fish. But I mean, it was crazy.
What are you throwing for braid on this frog? Because I think like probably a lot of people, it's frog, you're gonna throw 65, but what are you doing?
I got 50 on here. You know, I don't, you know, in here it's not really thick cover. You know, got a lot of weeds.
Yeah.
You know, it's just duckweed, but you know, you still want to have a little bit of thicker braid to, you know, get them to the boat and keep them away from all the laydowns in here.
Yep.
You know, and that's actually the one frog I lost when the line broke. That's what happened. I mean, it smoked it, and I guess it went under a log, and then when I went to set it, it just, you know,
right over that log and just, okay.
And I mean, that's gonna happen in here with all this wood and stuff.
Yeah, you're definitely not fishing just wide open water here.
Yeah. The scary thing was that last big one I caught the last day. So I throw it out, it smokes it. I crack them. I'm like, oh my gosh, I got him. And I'm reeling them in, and I get them about halfway to the boat, and I feel the line get on some wood. And I'm like, oh my gosh, no. And I'm thinking he's gonna just do a lap and swim around it.
Yeah.
He just turns around, swam back around it, and came right to me. I was like, oh. Because that's how the one right before it broke.
That's how he, so you,
I was
man.
like, not again. You know, and it was.
And at that point, you knew you get that big one in the boat, that probably is the cup for you.
I knew it was going to be close, you know. I mean, I knew I didn't have a shot without it, and then when I got it, you know, it was amazing.
That's pretty cool how it worked out like that. So like early in the tournament, that kind of little stump there that I just flipped up to out in the middle, that would have held a fish.
That would have. And
later on, it's up on the bank.
Yeah. And I mean, and if I was in here early enough, I could walk the frog by it and they would come up and eat it.
Yeah.
But you know, when it got this much sun on it, they were more in the thicker duckweed. You didn't hear anybody this week be like, man, John, you cast real accurate. Nothing like that. I probably threw up in the trees more than I got up under the trees.
Gosh, that's such a pretty looking spot. You've got duckweed, you've got a tree. I mean,
that was one of the main things too, is that I always felt like I was in productive water in here, you know?
Oh yeah, every little corner you go around looks like there should be a fish.
Yep.
Yeah, it's never, you'd never get the feeling that you were just going down a bank and there wasn't going to be one there. Did you ever catch them out of this real shallow stuff up in the back there, or was it all kind of along the main channel?
Most of it was out, except one day when I don't know if it was like, I don't know what it was. Like one day the water ran out, and then it turned around and it ran back in. You know, so that day it actually got them kind of schooling some in here, and they would get up in these little shallower flats, and they would be blowing up on shad and stuff.
Okay. Were you catching them then, still on the frog?
Yeah.
That's pretty great.
I know.
Catching schoolers on a frog.
Schoolers on frog. You know, at first I was like, oh, I'll pick up top water, I'll do this. But my first cast in there with the frog, I caught a good one. I was like, yeah, I'll just throw it.
Hey, tournaments, it's hard to fish a frog in a tournament because, like, missing fish on a frog is kind of part of it, it seems like. But if they're not missing it, might as well throw it.
You know, miss it, but.
Where in New York would you go?
Wappingers Falls.
Oh! Oh! That was a bite!
It was.
Dude, right on that edge, he crushed it. Come on back, buddy. Want me to flip in there and see if he wants to eat something? It's not really that deep right on that little edge there.
That was a shallower edge. Actually, that might have been land during the tournament. Now this water's way up.
Oh, man.
I got confidence. We got one bite, we'll get another one.
There we go.
We might be here for 4 hours, but we're getting another bite. Oh, right here, look at this spot. You know, that was the great thing about this spot, was that it completely changed every day.
So you were never hammering one thing.
No, well, the duckweed would move, so it was like you fished a new part of the canal every time, you know?
Oh, you're good.
It's fixing to go down on this stretch.
Gosh, that's beautiful.
It never
looking.
looked like this during the tournament, and it looks so good.
Let's make it happen. That breeze feels good.
It's amazing. It's like an oven standing here. You know, when I did the practice for it, I you know, before the cup, you know, I usually come up here and I'll practice, you know, way before it and stuff. And this time I said, you know what? I'm gonna just practice my 3 days and be done with it. And but what I did to just condition for this, you know, being out here in the sun for 4 days, you know, straight in the tournament. When I was at home, I just went fishing all day long, and down in Florida, you know, and it was hot, it was miserable, and you know, but it just got me used to it, where, you know,
you could grind it out.
So I think that helped, you know, because if I would have been, you know, sitting at the house in the AC and, you know, not out just frying every day, it would have, you know.
Yeah, if you're not mentally ready to fish through that heat for 4 days in a row, at some point you're going to break down. You're going to make a bad decision.
And I'm telling you, that last day, I was, you know, when I got in here around 11 o'clock, I was done. Like I was like, my arms, I could feel like I could barely cast. You know, I was just out of gas, and I got thinking, I was like, man, I said, if I'm this tired, I know them other guys got to be tired too. So I just kept going, and then I caught that big one. Man, it was like, brought me back to life.
Yeah, the fish will do that.
Yeah.
Well, John, thanks a bunch for taking us back here and showing us how you got this thing done. I mean, it's the Forrest Wood Cup, it's 300 grand, it's the big trophy. I mean, you're the only one to ever win it out of an aluminum boat. You had an awesome season, 2 wins this year now. We've got the invitationals coming, maybe more. I mean, you're the king of the world. Congratulations. Thanks for giving us the lowdown.
Hey, thanks for coming out with me. I mean, it's been an awesome week. You know, I just got to thank my sponsors, you know, Mudhole, MHX Rods, Crestliner, Mercury, you know, River of Life, you know, everybody that's just backed me all season. It's just been an awesome year.
All right, well, they got their money's worth for sure, and you deserve every bit of it. Thank you, man.
Thanks.